Hello and welcome back to my Into the Betweenlands 2 playthrough. As I said from the last video, I went ahead and made the extra bricks needed for the refractory count and got some made. These should let us get the blueprint. And while it's the intro and I'm working through this, I'm going to go ahead and explain the entire bloomery system. So all the refractory blocks use logs, or all of these use logs as their fuel. The bloomery is a little bit different. I'm pretty sure it takes... I know peat works, which is very good for the biomes I'm near, and sulfur, and it also uses wood. But for the bloomery, if you look at, say, let's get a sulfur chunk, it will say bloomery efficiency. Certain fuel sources are better efficient for actually using this. So if I were to get wood, I'm pretty sure tarred wood is the better tarred hardwood. I think every other wood has the base 100 efficiency. Nearby, though, we have access to peat, which is as efficient as sulfur without actually using the sulfur. So I'm going to go over in the foggy weather and go grab some peat from the peat bog over here. Now, luckily for us, we haven't encountered it, but there are unique enemies in the peat beside the floating gas cloud called peat mummies. But luckily for us, we have yet to actually experience any, which is very good, because they are, best we describe them as stronger zombies. But we'll grab a few blocks of this. Now, one thing I did forget to do is scout and figure out where the drag spire is exactly, but I have a vague knowledge of the location. So we should be fine. Now, one thing this mod pack doesn't do, but I know exists, is that this mod, does actually work with Tinker's Construct. Most 1.12 mods did, or at least if they were ever added in, they would be easily merged together to work with each other. Which would make it a little bit easier, as we would have access to shroom-like weapons, as they would have their own metal tier and all that stuff. But for our case, we will just have to continue farming for bone and getting bone weapons, but the armor will be perfectly fine with, because Shroom Knight is pretty good. Pretty good tanky-wise. I'm just going to get a stack of peat, because that should be a good enough to last us. So let's get back over to the base. I also made myself a bow. I don't remember if I did that on recording last time, but I did get myself a bow because we have a few arrows. Anglers. I failed to actually say this. Anglers drop their teeth, but for some reason it is a rare drop, even though it's used for arrows. In fact, I'm pretty sure until you get shroomite, not shroomite, octane, a reliable source of octane. Um, it is the only way to get arrows, which is pretty annoying. Besides this, but this needs the animator, which is something that while we could make, we can't use as we would need life crystal. Life crystal, I don't remember where you get this exactly, um, but life crystal basically lets you use the animator, which repairs things and makes certain items, but also lets you automate things like the mortar. If I put a life crystal right there, it would automatically process everything, and I wouldn't have to actually take part in the processing of it. I also expanded our little water chute right here, because it's a item I'm going to be making in a little bit, once we actually start producing shroomite. Now I'm pretty sure should be able to just place it in. Don't know why it's not placing. That is strange. Alright. You need to add in, I think, the ores first. Then, is that how you meant to do it? I don't know why it's not working. Ah. It only takes slag heaps, I guess. Yep. It's a little bit unfortunate. I guess this is just how you store it. This isn't too hard to make. It's just bricks. All that stuff. We can make that real quick. It's 4 bricks. And should just be this. Just right here for now. Put this into here. Just get that there. And now should be able to put fuel into it. Why is it not letting me? That's strange. It says peat can work. Why is it not working? Set the top on fire. Hold on, let me just look this up real quick. If you ever use or play this mod, there is a pretty well made official wiki that you can use. Actually a part of pyrotech, which does kind of explain it being a little different. But this should be working. I don't know exactly why it's not. Unless it's meant to be the heated up version of heat, but whatever. Put all your wood into the machine. You then grab a lighter. Light it. Light the wrong part. You light it from the top. Don't do what I did and light it from the bottom. So now I get another lighter. But yeah, I also moved all of the miscellaneous storage stuff up top instead of at the bottom where it was. So I can have all of that good. Gotta stand on it. There you go. And this will speed up the process. As the book says, only one fuel is actually required, but the more fuel you have, the faster it goes. And you can have a bellows, which you jump on or stand on, which will make it go faster. But a little bit expensive for us, as we don't really have access to lurker skin. How this works is that I think this should work. If not, we just have to wait for it to be done. But once we do, then we use a shovel to dig away all the ash. We make sure tongs are in the offhand and in the main hand. Place it down the anvil, and the closer you are, the better it works. And then you just hit it with the hammer, and then you'll get shroom. And once we get 3, we'll be upgrading the anvil, as the shroom anvil is its only anvil upgrade and has a lot more uses while still functioning with the limestone anvil. Like this right here, of being able to break down ingot blocks into the ingot form and ingot nuggets, which will be very helpful with this. So Octane is pretty good. It is going to be our main upgrade weapon-wise, or not weapon-wise, for like getting infusers, purifiers, limbics. It's going to be needed for a bunch of other things, as well as the fact that having a single octane ingot completely replaces the fire starter without having any durability at all, which is very convenient. Also use it to make the fishing hook, which does make fishing a mid-game item. Bunch of lanterns and saw blades. But once that is done, we will be able to start to work on that. Our next set of tools, though, will be... You can actually craft this, I'm pretty sure. Don't know why. I don't really know why that changes. Next set of tools, though, will be this. Once we can get this right here. Valianite is pretty good. It is effectively diamond of this game. Makes the jukebox. Makes a drawer controller, which does mean that we can get into a form of storage system. This for herblore, which is pretty good, but does make it so this entire thing is locked behind effectively diamonds, and as well as making us upgraded armor, weapons, and all that stuff. Pretty sure once we get past a certain point, it actually tell us how to get octane weapons, which I'm assuming is once we beat the Crag Rock Tower, as kind of a progression gate. As you want to do this, it gets you the ability to do anything tourism related, this, and then this. And doing this does give us normal slag. Normal slag has the only use, I'm pretty sure, of letting you make compost. Which is, well, what you have to do to start farming, but we aren't really in a position to be able to start farming because we don't have any good seeds. This is basically the only one, as this needs us to get into aspects, and T also works. I don't really know where T is. If we could find white pear seeds, that would be pretty good. That is a good source of food. Pretty simple. It doesn't give us poison. And we can make pizza. I'm pretty sure they will also let us grow the mushrooms of the game, which will be basically just these two. Cat mushrooms, I think, just grow around the bulb cap itself. And on their own, not very good food. They can make nettle soup though, which is pretty nice. And other soup related things, which is about their only real use. On top of this right here. That's all processing. I'm going to go cut down some more trees, and I will mute back up until the boomer is done and I can explain all that. Alright, now that this is done, you want to go on top. It does take a little bit, but I did use wood because I wasn't thinking about it, most likely. Don't really know all of the efficiency, like what would be the best to use outside of sulfur, and I would have used peat, but for some reason it doesn't want to work, even though it says it should, which is very weird. But now, what you want to do is grab this and start hitting it. And this is why I made a little basement for this, because it produces fire around it. I don't think it produces fire above it, but if so, I would just cover the logs, which I probably will do once this is done. As you can see, instead of getting ingots, we are getting a bunch of slag, which again is good compost once we get into farming, and nuggets. But this is why I said the first thing we were going to get is a anvil. Place that down right there. And should make an anvil. So technically this does need pitstone. Pitstone, pretty sure is just in a deeper layer. I did forget about, which is a little bit inconvenient. But this is going to be surprisingly perfectly fine, and you can then store it right there, and it won't like decay or do any of that stuff. Sadly, this does mean now I have to get heat this back up. It doesn't mean I have to look for pebbles because I think I forgot. Breaking down stone only 2. So I'm going to make some torches. I could try to go get pitstone. Make this shroomite anvil. But I will do that once we go explore to the Crag Spire, because I will be doing that today. That's guaranteed. Should only take about 5 minutes, and I'm pretty sure the boomerang efficiency also applies that. I'm not too terribly sure. Honestly, I don't really much know what efficiency actually does. or how the bellows work. I think you just have to stand on it. I don't know if you have to take it on and off. Either way, we will do that. Now, there is a Shroomite sealed, which I will be making if I get enough. Slags do give a lot of ingots for how to make up for how long they will be, and all the work that has to be done into them. They do give a lot of resources. And just looking up to make sure I'm right, pitstone does go underground, similar to limestone. It's just in a deeper layer. For our sake, I am just going to be using making another limestone anvil because it would be faster, as this is only about 5 minutes, than if I were to wait. Though, I think for the sake of the video, I am going to go out to the caves and mine down some, because I think that would be a little bit more interesting than waiting around for it to be all done. And while I'm out, I will also try to look around to see if I can't find where the crag spire is, because I know I remember seeing one. Something else I noticed, because I don't think I ever talked about it, these things up there, while they sometimes have ore and other resources, have a little mini boss on top of them that if you can kill in, I think, a certain way, will let you get tamed. I think they're Chiramons or Chiromaz. Those things right there, which on their own don't do much, but they let you use a thing called a Dragon, I think, which is effectively a air balloon that is decently expensive to make. It's not too terribly expensive. It's not like late game if you're good with gathering resources, but it is a little bit harder to make than normal. Yeah. And that is the cracked spire up there, which is a little bit unfortunate with the placement, but we will make do. We'll say once we can get tar, which will let us make our boat effectively usable, because admittedly the base boat is not really something that you can use, just because of the like drift it has. Because otherwise it's just going to move around without you, and that is very unfortunate when you want to do anything, really. And it is decently hard to control. What these do some rusty scaffolding, which I'm pretty sure is just decoration and lore building, but they do give metal scraps. I am not too sure how scrapping works. I don't know if I just break it and it gives me it. Pretty sure I need an upgraded tool for this. Yeah. lucky for us, I think the crag spire actually took over the what would have been the Maw's nest, which is very nice. Also, something, as I'm pretty sure the monster spawners, the unique ones for Into the Betweenlands, don't actually have the light thing. Because I'm pretty sure this kind of functions more so like the Nether. I'm not too terribly sure. I should have really brought something for the probably like the bag to carry things around with me. Now, no, this won't actually affect my pacifism. These guys are meant to be hostile, even if you're doing the pacifist, just so that the tower isn't used. But these are pretty dangerous, and as you can see why I would really like to stay pacifist, because otherwise these guys get very angry. When you try to go through the tree trees, which are how you get basically normal glass used for bottles and stuff. But one thing is, unlike blazes, these guys are actually not immune to fire, so they do kind of strike with my own arrows. thinking that much. Damn it. So close. I could definitely finish the tower. I was just mismanaged my resources. I do really hate how this is the best sword you're going to be able to get the game, and all little critters do a lot of damage. Normal. But that is basically the crag tower. The next floor is just a few more spawners, and once you kill all the enemies there, the tower starts to crumble. And I will also make sure to bring my basket, as I keep forgetting I even have that as an option, which is a little bit unfortunate, because I know there's a lot of times that I would have been really grateful to have that for storage, which is effectively an entire second inventory. I'm pretty sure the large basket, what I have, has a single chest size. Surprisingly, you will actually, in most dungeons, get enough resources that you don't have to deal about hunger too much. As you saw, because of all the pots, I was getting a bunch of jam, donuts, marshmallows, all that stuff, which are pretty good, all things considered. Just do this real quick. There we go. And as you can see, that did beat up the anvil quite a bunch. But now I should be able to easily get back to the tower and grab all my stuff, because nothing in there respawns. You aren't locked out if you fail it the first time. You don't have to worry about any of that. Even though, yes, this is boots, I now have decently more armor than what I had last time, which is pretty good. And after this, I will be working on finishing up my armor. So that if we have to go out and do anything again, I won't have to deal with effectively being naked. I'll make sure to do all that bloomery processing and whatnot off camera, so that you don't have to deal with the waiting that we just did, because I wanted to show you how the machine works. Now, I will say this, because this is a bit important. If you play into the Betweenlands, like just the mod, difficulty is definitely a lot easier, as everything is made like normal Minecraft equipment. The octane if you find those floating heads, you get 2 octane blocks, which are about 9 ingots. You can then just break them down into ingots like you would do any block, and then get octane weapons, which are pretty good. Same with the gems and the gem tier weapons. They just craft like normal. But this mod does try to make it a little bit more interesting with the whole pyrotech mechanics. I've never really seen pyrotech used outside of this. I'm pretty sure it is trying to replicate the classical style of forging that like GregTech does, but GregTech uses their own equipment. They don't use a different mod. Not GregTech. Terra Firmacraft. Though I think some GregTech stuff does kind of function similar. Now these things, I'm a little bit hesitant to use them because they are just bombs. And I really don't want to accidentally blow myself up. But Angry Pebbles can be useful in certain situations. I will say, probably the hardest part about any dungeon in this mod is rights, because rights do pure magic damage, even on their normal hits, which in Minecraft, if you know, magic is the only type that effectively is a anti-defense mechanic. Pretty sure in normal Minecraft, the only way to do magic damage is with potions of harming, and they're the best way to deal with someone in heavy armor, like in future versions Netherite, there's versions of Diamond, because they just completely ignore all defense. Now, because of this, rights are very annoying, and they have that attack where they turn into a floating head, and basically, when they hit you with this, you are almost completely dead. Especially in tight rooms like what I was in, because they're just going to float around you as a projectile, and if they hit you, you take damage. And there's nothing you can really do about it besides hit them back, but they can do this through walls, which is pretty annoying, admittedly. It doesn't help that I'm pretty sure enchantments don't exist in Betweenlands, as obsidian, there's no way to get it. Tar effectively replaces lava. And, of course, there's no diamonds. But it should just be one more go in, and I should be able to beat the dungeon. Alright. Also, something I'll be able to do now that I have Shroomite is make shears, which, I will say this is a pretty big complaint with the mod, is beds and the ability to save your spawn point is post-Shroomite. Now, I know in normal scenarios, in the normal mod, you would just go mining for a little bit once you get 3 bones to make yourself a slimy pickaxe. You go mining for a little bit, you get 2 Shroomite, you get sears, and you get moss. Because it's only moss beds. Even though I'm pretty sure silk production and how you do it is base. Though, of course, I think silk grubs just give you string, and you string to make wool. Wool beds don't exist normally, for one reason or another. And because of this, especially for this mod pack specifically, beds are a little bit annoying to get, which is very unfortunate because you'll be dying a lot and then respawning directly at spawn. So you really aren't encouraged to move out far until you get metal. Which I do think is a poor design choice on the mod, because as a player, you should be able to set your spawn point pretty early. I'd say that it should be like the first thing you're able to do. But just because it is like, if you're going to have a mod focused around progression in this sense of go do a dungeon, fight a boss, or fight a mini boss, or have enemies that are pretty strong to deal with, you should be able to set your spawn point pretty early, because that will let you make a base of operations, do all that stuff, and be pretty well off. And I do know the mod author is still working on the mod pack, not mod author, but mod pack author. It is just a little bit of a, this is unfortunate. Wait for that to finish. Let's see if it counts as me beating it. I think one of the enemies died, which caused the crippling sequence. That's getting laggy. But to save a third walk back over there, I'm going to just quickly go over there and see how possible it is to get my stuff. Alright, so we did beat the tower. Now, normally what is meant to happen is that you break those 2 spawner crystals and then you have to get out. You break them, kill all the enemies, come up here, loot everything you can, and then leave the tower. But because we died, it kind of skipped that part and just went straight to the tower cromwell. But we gotta get all the good items from it. This is a decent axe. I'm pretty sure this just has more damage against hags. This has haste naturally. I have no idea what this thing does. I've never used it. Pretty sure it just locates gems. And we're gonna quickly get rid of these and loot the chest. Also, once you finish the dungeon, this goes for every dungeon, by the way. All dungeons will have that little ward that stops you from breaking blocks. It doesn't stop you from building up to it. Mainly going to be useful for the sludgeon, as that one is all down, not up. Be sure to enter from the top and then head down. But once you beat the dungeon, if you have a map, it will mark as completed. So, just so you know that, hey, this is done, you don't have to go here anymore. And if you're in multiplayer, map data is server-wide, I'm pretty sure. So it would also tell anyone else, hey, don't bother with this, it's technically, for this, if you don't want to do all of the inside of the dungeon, there's nothing stopping you from working your way up and down. In fact, I would recommend, if you want to do it easier, you get a bunch of blocks when you're well armored. Admittedly, I only had leggings and pants, or boots. When you get a full set of armor, you just go down, or get a bunch of blocks, and build up. Because the bottom going down is a lot easier than going up, because it's a lot harder to deal with enemies like the rights, when you're at a downwards disadvantage, because they can just go into spirit form and blow through the walls. Besides that, for this mod pack, once we finish this, we get Lore of the Druids, and finish this chapter right here. Another lore page. Let's for these, if you right click, it's going to put into your journal. Pretty sure they do. Don't know why it's not here. It's just concerning. Oh. Here it is. I've been forgetting to do all this stuff, but the journal is a bunch of lore. And you get Knowledge of Druids, which you right click and it reloads the entire world because in 1.12.2, a lot of mod packs love doing this thing where they completely lock items and generations and visibility and things like that to certain gates. There's this alternative to Terra Firma Craft, I can't remember its name, that did this, and it is as annoying as it might sound. But now, a lot more items are available to make and see. If you ever see some undiscovered items, I'm pretty sure that's what they're for. And once you unlock them, you can store them in your bag so that you can keep them because they will be imported later. And it not waste inventory, effectively being dead weight. Because at the minimum, at least the mod pack developers knew that if they were going to aggressively items, that it wouldn't be very fun to play with if everything you couldn't use was just sitting in a chest, taking up space, when you could put them in the little curio bag you have, which basically means it's a free inventory slot until you reach the correct progression gate. But I'll go inside. Now we unlock a new page, Critical Wisdom. This is going to be the next thing we use, and we get access to new tools. Then from here, we finish this page, and then it goes into Right Fortress. But this is what we'd be doing next episode, is continuing with Druidism. Because this is going to let us actually start getting resources that we weren't able to back here because of these things right here. Now that we'll be able to get runic shears using druidic crafting and all that stuff, and roots, I'm quite fond of roots, we'll be able to get resources like Willarker hides, we'll be able to get pheromone thoraxes through shearing instead of killing, which will let us do this entire line and get more things set up, as well as we'll be able to do purification. That'll be all for the next episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I will make sure to do a bunch of ore processing off camera, just so that you don't have to sit through all of that. Hope you enjoyed, and make sure to like and subscribe and all that stuff, so I can get more people watching this, as I do think it would be cool to reach a subscriber milestone of any kind, just because I've always wanted to do things like this, and now that I'm finally working on it, I would be a little bit happy to see it through fruition. Goodbye.